literally the last thing I would want to do, the last hypocritical thing I would ever want to do after decrying all of the overproduction in the comics market is say, why didn't they announce more stuff? Don't announce any more stuff, please.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Oh boy, it's going to be nothing but excitement, Dal.
Is it?
As this is the New York Comic Con Rundown episode of Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast here on the Yak Channel Network in Chicago, hosted by the co-owners of Challengers Comics and Conversation, also in Chicago, coincidentally, us. You're Dal.
Yep.
And I'm Patrick. And this will be extra fun and exciting for me because I deliberately stayed away from a lot of the information so it could be fresh and exciting. But before we get into that...
You're just going to groan at all of it, so it doesn't matter. I mean, whether you know it or not. Your fresh reaction is likely going to be to basically everything I tell you off of my phone.
Okay.
Not to spoil it for people who have maybe never listened to an episode of Contest of Challengers or listened to a convention recap episode, 90% of the reaction is going to be groans.
Yes, but I don't know that yet.
Okay, I do.
There could be books that I've never even known that I've wanted that are on this list. I was already excited by some of the toy stuff you showed me.
Too bad we're not a toy podcast.
That Artem Zola and Hydra Captain
Secret
America
Empire
2-pack.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Pretty good,
that's
right?
great. I want that. But before we get into New York stuff, we have the next chapter in what seems to now be a recurring bit or segment, if you will, on this podcast. The further adventures of us and our alarm company.
It's an ongoing saga.
So, to recap, we have been having issues with our alarm company, and this week they were scheduled to come out and once again do a full systems check and upgrade/overhaul what needed to be changed. Now, regular listeners will know that they've come out twice in the last couple of weeks to do this type of thing, not to mention other times to check on other stuff. Anyway, we had a new guy came in. His name was Gustavo, or Gustav, one of the two. He was very nice. He was very thorough in his explanation of everything he was doing. He wanted to show me what he was checking, what the readings were. He had his alarm company computer that was showing the signals being sent and received and showing me how everything was active. He made some structural suggestions, which I allowed him to do. He upgraded one of the motion detectors and changed its location to give a better cross-section of what it covers in the store. I'm also looking to you for some mm-hms, like you're following along.
I'm letting you tell your story. I'm listening.
But I'm telling it to you.
Like the people who are listening. I'm giving you my full attention.
Yes, but all of them are saying, mm-hmm.
Are they?
I assume. Aren't you? See, I heard that. And once he left, I felt fairly satisfied. Also, he stuck around for a while because we were watching the live verdict that was coming through in the city of Chicago.
Oh, yes.
For a very important,
very important
criminal proceedings.
Oh, yeah.
That, let's be honest, I thought it was going to be the worst case scenario, and he was going to be not guilty.
Exonerated? Yeah. Yeah, that would have been very unfortunate in a lot of ways.
This weekend is the Chicago Marathon weekend, and there's a lot of out-of-town tourists and things. Not coming to buy comics, I just mean in the city in general.
Yeah, in a specific part of the city as well.
Right, a specific part of the city that would 100% be targeted for disruption were there to be protests. Sure. But no, guilty of
second degree
murder and 17 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a pretty satisfying result.
Yeah, frankly, it's the bare minimum of what should have happened.
Right. But in today's day and age...
Oh, absolutely. I mean, not to veer further away from the comics industry business podcast that Contest of Challengers is, but this
occasion.
This weekend has, counting Friday and Saturday part of the weekend, has been a very up and down part of being an American citizen. Some ups, some downs.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
but it could have been
I will
down,
take the bare minimum of justice at this point, considering that's not necessarily what happens enough.
Yeah, that's not the status quo.
The typical outcome.
Yeah.
As evidenced by Saturday.
So
Anyway, moving on.
He stayed to watch that verdict with us as well. So I genuinely liked this person, and I was happy with how he was explaining his work to me and what he had done. One of the things he wanted to do was he changed the location of the door sensor on the front door. And that is the thing that lets you know when the door is open, and it has the chime. And he saw where it was and wasn't happy with that position and said it could get wet and it could get dirty. And he, in fact, replaced it with a brand new one. And you could see how discolored and worn the other one was, because it's the same model. Mm-hmm. It was just, hey, thanks.
You're welcome
for that. It was just all worn and gross. So he put a new one in, but rather than be on the top of the door, it's on the side of the door at the top. And he drilled in the magnetic catch that is what keeps the signal connected.
Okay.
Cut to this morning, where at 10:52, 10:53, I get a call from my brother because just called him because there is a break-in at the store. And literally at the point that he called me, I was in the garage. I didn't answer. But I'm like, why are you calling me when I'm trying to open this door? I'm getting out of the car. I have my hands full of stuff. I couldn't answer, but I'm like, I'll call him back when I get inside. So I get inside, and I check the voicemail that he left and see he's calling because he got called for... Oops, I wasn't saying that part.
You did.
I may edit that out. Who knows? I mean, I was trying in the last couple weeks to specifically not mention the name of the company. Uh-huh. He got a call from an alarm company. I'm going to have to edit that out of the unedited version as well. He got a call from the alarm company saying, hey, there's a break-in at the store. Well, I'm at the store. There's no break-in. So I call him back to say, there's no break-in. I'm sorry they called you. I don't know why they called you, because I had recently downloaded this unnamed company's app, and in setting all that stuff up and doing stuff online, I double-checked the call order, because you and I had thought about putting Kent on the list because he had at one point lived across the street, but now he doesn't.
Nope.
So I thought there's no reason to have him on the list, and I double-checked, and the order is me, you, George.
Okay.
So they got a hold of George, just like with my eye doctor appointment. Mm-hmm. I told him I have a dentist appointment on Monday, so he should expect a call.
Yep.
So while I had George on the phone and Sam was there today, I'm like, hey, Sam, I'm going to go outside, lock the door behind me. I'm going to pull on the locked door and see if it moves enough, because our door kind of bends out at the top.
Yeah.
See if it moves enough to set off the door chime, and it did. So all that means is while the alarm was armed and someone walked by and just pulled on the door, which people do in the city all the time.
Sure, day and night.
That broke the contact and set off the alarm. So the weird thing about that was we got the call from ADT. There was also a message from ADT at the store. Mm-hmm. The alarm was still on when I got to the store. It was still armed.
Huh.
And if the alarm goes off, it's this siren, and right. it howls.
Yeah.
It wasn't doing that.
Huh.
And if they got a hold of George at 10:52, then the alarm would have gone off at 2 minutes before that or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it still should have been in that process while I was there. And that never happened.
Huh.
So, okay, fine. That's an issue.
Yep.
We'll have to take care of that. A little bit later, the police show up because they were dispatched by our alarm company because there was a break-in. There was no break-in. I'm like, look, I don't know why there's no break-in, there's nothing happened. Well, because they were dispatched, they have to issue us a citation of $100 for them having to come out.
Yep.
Later in the day, I got 2 different texts from... I bank with PNC.
Mm-hmm.
I got 2 texts, 2 completely bogus scam texts from quote-unquote PNC saying, you're locked out of your account, you've been compromised, click here to re-log in.
Sure, that's typical.
Yeah,
of PNC
right?
To send them a text.
So I'm like, let's see what happens when I click here. So I click it. No. I just click it. It takes me to a mirror of the PNC website login. But you see clearly at the top it is not PNC.
Sure.
So I took a screen cap of that. And I called PNC. And I just wanted to say, hey, I got this spam, this fake login attempt. Like, got this what's the word? This
Fraudulent?
Fraudulent, thank you. That's the word. This fraudulent text. I took a screen cap of it. I want to know where to send it. I'm sure they want to know. Sam, who works for Venmo, said that whenever this happens, we tell people, please screen cap this and send it to us.
Okay.
So I'm like, great. I called, and everything is automated. I can't get a person.
Especially on a Saturday.
Well, and that's what they wound up saying was, hey, but when I finally was able to say, hey, this is a fraud claim, I got a, we're closed, call back on Monday message.
Yep.
So, there's no resolution to our alarm story.
Nope.
Because it's the weekend.
Yep.
You saw the email?
I saw an email.
We got an email, so a tech is coming out on Tuesday to fix that issue.
At least no one will pull on the door before Tuesday.
Well, I took care of that.
Okay.
But nothing else has been taken care of.
Okay.
Because as you heard, and as you well know, they have to pay that fine for us.
Yes.
Hands down, they have to pay for that.
Yep.
And we can't call them and complain about it Monday because Columbus Day.
Yeah, it's true.
Actually, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, they gotta have somebody there on Monday. Columbus Day...
is not real.
Yeah, I mean, banks, sure. Government agencies? I think so, yeah. Schools? Maybe? I don't remember. But that's about it. I think most workers have to work.
Yeah,
There's no, Columbus Day celebrations.
I have an optometrist appointment and a dentist appointment, both on Monday.
Yeah, Columbus Day, I think, largely for government agencies. Like, the mail carrier's not going to stop by, and your bank is going to be closed. But I think that's about it.
So there's been no resolution to that. That'll have to be getting taken care of. And it can't be with the technician because they'll have nothing to do with it. Right. Just shrug their shoulders and go, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's a story that I look forward to ending.
It'll never end.
No. While I'm sure it makes interesting podcast listening, it doesn't make interesting store running.
No.
Also, there's been no resolution yet with People's Gas about us getting our account back from a couple weeks ago. And I don't know if you've noticed, but in the back, there is no hot water.
I haven't noticed that.
Have you noticed that there has been?
I can't remember one way or the other, to be honest with you.
Pay attention to that tomorrow.
I'm usually not back there long enough to care what temperature the water is.
Okay. If you get a second tomorrow,
sure,
check that out.
Okay.
Because I've gotten no hot water.
Okay.
So we'll see. However, the air conditioner, which has also been an issue lately.
Yep.
I mean, Jesus Christ, everything is happening now. It was okay today.
Yeah. Did we talk about the tech coming out?
No.
Tech came out.
Oh, what day?
Thursday.
And
I know because Kent texted me to say, hey, there's an AC tech here. Where do I send him? What does he want?
What time of day was this?
In the early afternoon.
Okay.
Because while I had emailed the building maintenance people, they never emailed or called back.
Yeah, I was curious about that.
They just sent a text. So that's why I wasn't able to tell Kent ahead of time, hey, this person's coming, show them X, Y, and Z. It was just, okay, they're there right now? Cool. They need to take a look at this. And then eventually the guy called me and basically did the same stuff as the last guy. Looked at our unit, looked at the unit on the roof. Everything seems fine. He'll tell the building owners there is no solution. Nothing got fixed. Nothing was wrong with it. It's a total mystery. Like everything else, total mystery.
Huh. Well, it seemed cool today, not cold.
Uh-huh.
because it still got up to 80 degrees in the store today.
Sure.
On an overcast day where you need a jacket outside.
Yep.
This building, this barely 10-and-a-half-year-old building, is nothing but issues.
Pretty much.
And I'd say we should burn it to the ground. We can't. There's so much water in the carpet from it leaking under the doors all the time that it would never ignite.
Nope.
And also, I would never do that and admit to it on a podcast. One more thing to be dealt with. We got the Baker and Taylor order in on Friday.
Great.
Number one, no last picks.
Okay.
They didn't have it.
Okay.
Even though it was in stock when we ordered it.
Yep.
So that's the bigger issue.
Yep.
Minor issue, and this is completely my fault. Girl in the Himalayas. I accidentally ordered the hardcover.
Okay.
Fine, except the hardcover's cover price is $25.99, and it's a 0% discount.
So it's probably like the pre-bind for schools.
So we paid $25.99 for this book that is also doesn't have a price on it anywhere.
Yeah, because it's for libraries and schools.
Okay. So I left it aside with the returns form, and I was going to try to get a hold of Janine Greco, but I don't think that's her name.
No,
but anyway.
I'm pretty sure it's her name.
Okay. I feel like I'm saying the last name wrong, but it doesn't matter. But I started the email, but got distracted, never got a chance to finish it. Then it was after hours, and then it was weekend and a holiday, so who knows what's up.
Yeah.
But that is sitting behind the front counter with the return forms inside, because I'm sure they'll let us return it.
Yeah, I assume. I mean, even if it wasn't an error on their fault or our fault or whatever, it's well within the returns limit that we have.
Okay. So that's just been the last 2 days.
Jesus Christ.
Super fun.
Super exhausting.
Super fun.
Jesus.
You guys didn't even get to hear all the stuff I dumped on Dal right before we started recording. Just little aggravations that build up.
Oh my God.
The front door needs to be fixed. I don't mean the alarm. I mean
the actual
the door. I mean you see how it hangs poorly. But here's the thing. The hinges are fine and tight. I played around with the door closer. Like what if if you lift the handle just a little bit as you're closing the door, fine.
Sure.
It's totally fine.
Okay.
But I don't know what to do to get that tension to close it. And the last time this happened, we had a door guy come out who just shaved off the bottom corner of the door, which isn't fixing it.
Nope.
So if it's a matter of you need a new door, that's way out of our price range.
Yep.
But I don't know how to rehang this door. And also the back door of Sidekicks to get into the back room, just a little wooden door, has been grinding. So that one I just took out all the hinge screws, which are little baby 1-inch screws, and replaced those with much longer screws.
Okay.
And tightened them. It's fine.
Great.
So that's what I planned to do with the front door. But I don't have tools powerful enough to undo those screws.
Yeah.
Isn't it fun owning a business?
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry, were you asking him for help?
Somebody.
Somebody, somewhere, hopefully. On the plus side, we did join I joined the Bucktown, Neighborhood Watch today.
Cool.
And while looking at other people's posts, it's not akin to comic posts where it's all, this is my problem, this is what's happening at my store, but kind of like that.
Okay.
But at least it's stuff in the neighborhood so you can look out for.
Sure.
And everybody has way better security cameras and things than we do. Plus side, I didn't tell you this. We just supported a Kickstarter.
Okay.
No, this is plus side.
Okay.
This is legit.
Okay.
We just supported a Kickstarter for a security camera.
Okay.
That is indoor, outdoor, magnetic mount, has its own app, saves to a cloud and to a USB disk.
Okay.
High definition, all these wonderful, wonderful things.
Neat.
So we should get it in December.
Okay, that's great.
And that may even eliminate, when we change to our new security people, that may cut down on one of the things they're going to do for us.
That's great.
Yeah, it was just I found it by accident. And with Kickstarter, when you could be friends with people, I don't mean you personally.
Right.
So when they support something, you'll get an email saying, "Hey, Tom Stillwell backed this project," or what have you. So since then, I've seen people, because I found this by accident on Facebook. Since then, I've seen 2 other people that I know now supported it as well.
Okay.
So I think they must have gotten an email that we supported it.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for the camera.
Sure.
Stretch goal, a plastic color mount over it. It could be black or green.
Oh, neat.
We'll just stick with white. That's what.
Sure.
But I mean, it's weatherproof, so it's for outdoors as well.
Right.
Which we don't need. But anyway.
I don't hate the idea of an exterior camera. I think it's definitely something I'd like to do.
Yeah, but it's a matter of where. I mean, there'll be we could probably up it
to the left of the door and slightly above, so it's out of someone's reach.
Yeah. Oh, best part about the camera?
Exterior security is real important for businesses.
Ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
365 days on one charge.
It's great.
It's wireless.
Mm-hmm.
Are those Tron light cycles?
They are, yes.
Oh.
When my mom and aunt were in from out of town, they were staying by a water tower place. And
Lego store.
They had to run into water tower place, and I'm like, I'll go to the Lego store. And they had the Lego Ideas Tron light cycle set, and I put it together today.
Oh, interesting.
It was very fun. It took about 45 minutes.
Is that good, bad, or?
I don't do Lego stuff, so it was fine for me.
Okay. Sorry, just noticed them.
No, sure. I just put them up there today.
Anyway, camera good. That's where we were at. I don't remember what I was saying.
Sure. No, you were talking about the camera in December. That's great.
Yeah, and we could. I'm sure at the time of filling out the surveys, we could get another one if we wanted to.
I'm sure they will gladly sell us another one if they want one.
Yep. All right. So, Dal, the New York Comic Book Con.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about I start with what I've heard?
Okay.
DC has. You know how they do the lit signs for comic stores?
The LED signs, yeah.
Yes. So they have an LED frame. Have you heard that?
I did. I was very happy to hear it.
24 by 36 LED frame with a quarterly graphic that they'll send you.
Yeah, so instead of what they've done the last few years has been a character emblem. A Wonder Woman emblem, Superman emblem, Batman emblem. Aquaman, I think, was this year.
And the DC logo itself.
Yeah, and then the DC logo. Some of those we've gotten, some of those we haven't. They prior to the LED signs, they had done neon signs, the Green Lantern, and another Batman one. I think 24 by 36. Be interesting to see where that goes, but yeah.
I mean, I
like the idea of having it be a rotating promotion instead of one specific thing forever.
Yeah. Obviously, it can't go on the door because it'll have to be plugged in.
Yes.
It's possible it could go on the door, but also I wouldn't want to put it on the door. I mean, that's the biggest empty space we have, and we currently have a 24 by 36 poster holder there.
Yeah.
But recent events have shown that door is not
stable,
a good place for
Sure.
those things. Plus, I mean, if it opens in the rain and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to figure something out for it. But yeah, I thought that was neat, and I immediately said, yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
I did mention that there were some figures I was excited for, like Better Ray Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Not in his Thor outfit, but in the Better Ray Bill outfit.
Yeah.
Because there was a previous Better Ray Bill Marvel Legends from the old Legends, I want to say.
Probably.
Or there've definitely been figures. It's funny because when I was looking through the pictures on Toy Arc, because you'd sent me the link,
yep,
there was the Shadow King figure. I looked at that and said, that is 100% a Kingpin body with a different head. And then later in the photos, oh, there's Kingpin.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's where the body came from. I don't blame them. Get the use out of it. That's fine.
Yeah, anytime they do a Build-A-Figure like that, there's a pretty good chance they'll find a way to use it for something else. Like the Sasquatch that's coming out, I'm pretty sure is mostly Man-Thing.
Yeah.
Just with like maybe a different head and some slight retooling to parts of them.
Okay.
But like the arms and legs are probably identical, just cast in a different color.
So with the new Miles Morales comic that's coming out,
mm-hmm.
and also the Spider-Man Spider-Verse movie that's coming out, mm-hmm. Miles' costume in the movie is different than his comic book costume.
Yep.
But they're keeping his comic book costume in the comics, right?
I think so. At least
because that's the image they showed.
From
yeah.
Brian Stelfreeze is his classic design. No real changes.
Which I think is a great design, but I imagine they're just making it easier to animate or something.
I think what usually happens with like transmedia stuff for Marvel characters is that the people doing the TV show or video game or movie or whatever want to put their stamp on it. They want to make it something that's theirs. So they change the stuff they can and leave the stuff they can't. But in almost every movie they've ever done for a Marvel character, they're making changes. The texture of the costume changes, the color scheme changes.
I remember the Michael Keaton bat symbol for the first movie?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the Spider-Gwen thing is the same way. Like, they got rid of, like, her normal, like, Converse soles in favor of, like, ballet slippers or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just how these things happen. I just assume that Marvel, as a publisher, has so little control over these projects that they're not able to exert any sort of, hey, this is what the character's costume looks like in all these other things, please leave it the same. It's Sony saying, yeah, no, here's what we're going to do. Here's what the filmmakers want to do.
Okay. I heard about, and I'm mentioning this because I don't think you had heard about it or cared. To celebrate IDW's 20th anniversary,
Did hear about this.
they have a book coming out called IDW 2020.
And I didn't care.
So it's some licensed properties, a weekly series.
Yeah, weekly in January.
Each issue is set 20 years in that property's future.
Or past.
Oh, or past. I didn't know that
past.
part. So
like,
it's
the Star Trek one is like 20 years before Star Trek Next Generation, so it's like young Jean-Luc Picard. But
Okay.
Ghostbusters and Turtles are set 20 years in those books' futures.
and Gem and
My Little Pony
My Little Pony.
are the other ones.
Yeah.
So it's those 5 properties.
I also did not care.
Yeah, no. I mean, people who get those books were definitely going to make sure they get those, even though there isn't a Gem comic to match it to anymore.
Sure.
But yeah.
And it's not a series, it's just 5 one-shots.
Yeah,
or
5
4.
one-shots. Just another weekly series in an industry chock full of weekly series. Yeah, I don't read any of those books, so I didn't really care. It just seems like an excuse for IDW to put out something that's going to cost them between $4 and $8. I don't remember how much they ended up costing.
I'm surprised they're not going to be their $7.99 annual cost. Who knows? Who knows? I did hear that several stores, one locally, one on the East Coast, are selling their remaining Batman Damned issues for $60 a cover, $60 a piece,
Sure.
and that on the show floor of the New York Comic Con this weekend, you can't find it for $60. It's all higher.
I believe it. I assume that there's enough unmet demand out there that $60 is a bargain.
But
On the
here's
show
what
floor?
else
$100.
I heard.
$100, I gotta assume, at least.
Here's a little bit of Batman Damned, also, I guess, a reoccurring segment on this podcast. So, there was Bruce Wayne's penis in the first issue. I'd heard that there's more of that in the second issue.
Ooh.
And DC had initially said, if we reprint it, it will be censored. And if we collect it, it'll be censored. Now, what I've heard is that Brian Azzarello had anticipated there to be some blowback from some of the art. Not any of the nudity, specifically the very last page of the first issue. The Jesus crucifixion statue painted to be a Joker.
Oh, okay.
So he anticipated there to be controversy over that. So he has a clause in his contract, the art cannot be censored.
That's what I thought was going to happen. Because otherwise, that was what we talked about in the previous episode. It makes no sense for DC as a company to not go back to press on a censored version when there's so much demand and you have 2 more issues to sell. So
they legally can't censor it, and I
Yeah.
guess they don't want to reprint it. So what does that mean for the collection, I ask again?
the collection's interesting. I mean, in theory, if you shrink wrapped it and did an adults only thing, but I don't know if DC wants to, and I don't know if they're allowed to, frankly, by people much higher up than DC Publishing. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that there's a mitigating circumstance to why it's not going back to press immediately.
But I love the fact that it has nothing to do with the nudity.
Sure. But it seems like the sort of thing that both Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo would feel strongly about, which is you don't get to, after it's been printed, decide that's not part of the story anymore.
Yeah.
Nope.
And keep in mind, I can't verify any of this.
Yeah, but
I didn't hear this from Brian Azzarello.
It seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Because it explains why DC as a publisher wouldn't go back to press on it.
Yep.
Yeah, the 2 things I thought were, 1, someone higher up at DC was like, absolutely not. But if they're doing more issues, that doesn't make any sense. Or 2, the creative team was like, absolutely not. We are not signing off on this.
Yep. That was part of a story about Batman Damned at Comic-Con.
Okay.
All right, your turn.
Okay.
I figured you would have everything at your fingertips ready to go.
Not exactly.
Like a human computer, just spitting out thing after thing. Now, there's still an X-Men panel tomorrow, I want to say, Sunday, as we're recording on Saturday. So we won't have a lot of X news. I did hear of a single new Image title that didn't make me excited at all. It's a music executive who is writing it.
I didn't hear about that.
And it's basically it's music industry based book, but based off of his real life experiences. Mm-hmm. And the first one has Thriller in the title, so I think it's Michael Jackson related. I'm not positive though.
Okay.
But that is, I can't remember what it's called. It's literally the only Image announcement that I heard of.
No idea. We're just going to work backwards in time, so we're going to start with the newest announcements and just work backwards.
Okay.
Marvel announced a sequel to Avengers No Surrender weekly event. It's called No Way Home, and it's coming out in February. It's going to be written by the same writers who wrote No Surrender. That's
Al Ewing, Mark Waid, and Jim Zub.
Yeah.
That is a thing that Dow and I knew. We were told this back at Gen Con.
Yep.
And we were told some of the story structure and the artists, and we promised to keep it a secret, so we did.
Yeah, it's true.
But that's the thing we knew back in August.
Yeah, the disappointing thing about it is that it made sense as a weekly series when there wasn't really any Avengers content coming out. I assume in February there will probably still be Jason Aaron's Avengers comic coming out, so
which is bi-weekly.
It's just more Avengers content now. It's a weekly series on top of Avengers and West Coast Avengers.
And we were told that the cast of No Surrender was everybody.
Yeah.
The cast for No Way Home will be anybody Jason Aaron is not currently using.
So a lot of the same cast that was in No Surrender, probably, because they're not in a book right now.
Yeah.
Josh Williamson and Howard Porter announced The Flash Year 1, which I can't really get 100% of a detail on this.
Okay.
If it's a storyline or if it's
a miniseries.
A miniseries, because they keep referencing Batman Year 1, which was within
the regular Batman continuity. Yeah.
Yeah. So I assume it's just a storyline because those are two guys that have worked on The Flash recently.
Yeah.
So I assume it's just a new Barry Allen Year 1 origin.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Williamson is going out of his way to make stories, like big name stories within the context of the Flash.
Yeah.
To, maybe help sell trades or keep interest or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
I still read his Flash run. I don't know that they have a lot of different artists on that book. Some don't work as well, and currently I don't think the Dan Mora covers are helping the book at all. Which, I mean, Dan Mora does Claws for Boom,
mm-hmm.
or Klaus, if you will, with Grant Morrison, and he did a bunch of Daredevil covers, which I thought worked well, but I'm not liking his Flash covers.
Yeah, it looks like the covers for the Flash Year 1 are going to be all by Howard Porter and probably other artists doing the B covers.
Sure. Did we talk about why do you have Chip Zdarsky's final issue of Peter Parker that he draws? Why is his cover the B cover?
No idea.
Not the B cover, the incentive cover.
Yeah, no idea.
The Mike McCone cover was gorgeous.
Yep.
Great cover, but man, why couldn't Zdarsky's be the main cover?
Weird choice. So appropriate for a week that is exhausting me more by the minute and making me sad to be a comics retailer.
Oh no.
Humanoids announces a new shared universe designed by Carlos Speed McNeil, Kwanzaa Osage. Oh man, I'm sorry. Kwanzaa something that does stuff for the Black AF series. Osajyefo? I wish it... Osajyefo. However that is pronounced. I'm tired of butchering it. I'm super sorry. And Yannick Paquette. Alongside John Cassaday, who's the Chief Creative Officer now for Humanoids, and Mark Waid, who is the Director of Creative Development.
Can I just jump in and say, how great was it to see Yannick Paquette do Action Comics most recently?
Pretty great.
That was a fun surprise. And hasn't Mark Waid been I'm sorry, what is his title now, did they say?
Director of Creative Development.
Hasn't he been that for several companies thus far?
A lot of companies, it's true.
And John Cassaday did what? I Am Legend. I Am Legion.
Mm-hmm.
For Humanoids, and that's all?
I guess. I mean,
I don't...
All of these people are not people... Yeah, we'll get to more names who have been Humanoids people. These are specifically people they're reaching out to put together a shared sci-fi superhero sequential single issue comic series universe for North American audiences.
As somebody who's been selling comics for 28 plus years, I look at the industry today and think that's what we're missing. Exactly that. Another
brand new
shared
shared
superhero universe. Yeah.
Of 3 ongoing series and 3 miniseries, all launching this summer. I'm sorry, well, summer 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the most exhausting thing I've read this entire weekend was just the idea of another company saying, you know what, an interconnected universe of stories. Okay, great. I'm already not ordering any of the Lion Forge stuff. I guess I can keep not ordering this company's books too.
Yeah, and Humanoids is not known for their single issues.
As with any new launch, I mean, if people come in and they're like, I gotta get Ignited or I've got to get Omni, then sure, I'll order it for the shelf. We'll try it out.
And by the way, us not carrying the Lion Forge Catalyst universe has nothing to do with the quality of their books. It's that we have no one buying them.
Yeah. Also, it has something to do with the quality of the books. Just in the sense that no one's asking for them.
Well, what I mean is...
the people who were ordering them have stopped ordering them.
All I'm saying is I've not read them, and I'm not judging.
I'm saying I don't read them, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that after over a year of putting this stuff together, it's not clicking with audiences. I mean, again, no one's coming and asking for it, and the people who were getting them have stopped getting them.
Yeah.
So the conclusion I can draw from that is, I guess they're not very good. I don't know, man. I like stuff that apparently isn't very good because it doesn't sell.
Sure.
Consistently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can say I like it or dislike it, but, I mean, it seems like in general the market's decided. I don't know. Yeah, this Humanoids thing is just... I don't want to use the word soul-crushing this early in the podcast, but it's just like, gee, 3 ongoing series and 3 miniseries, all with stuff where it's like, all right, none of this seems like it's breaking out. None of it seems like anything where I'm like, holy shit, I can't wait to read that. It's just more stuff in an industry that doesn't have enough people buying the stuff that's out right now. I don't understand why Humanoids would do this. It's frustrating to have another company go, you know what? More books. Whole industry needs more books. Whole new lines of books. Man, don't. You know who gets to tell me they're making more books? Raina Telgemeier. She gets to say I'm doing 2 books in 2019. Sure. Humanoids, best known for original graphic novels from foreign markets, is like, you know what? A bunch of homegrown North American talent. That's what comics needs. That's what's not well represented. All of it reminds me is like the era of like Topps Comics and Techno Comics and all of these companies that it's great for talent. Everyone's getting a paycheck. Everyone gets to work. That's awesome. But man, is there no market for any of these things?
Nope.
None. Ugh. What else? Oh, speaking of something that I can't understand why it exists. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man ongoing series by Tom Taylor, Juan Cabal, coming in January. The thing I don't get about it, there's multiple things, but the main thing I don't get about it is if this isn't replacing Peter Parker Spider-Man, I don't understand why it exists.
Yeah, I mean, why not just have this be the new creative team of Peter Parker?
Especially because the intent of it seems to be, by the title and by some of the things the creators have said, is to do a very like small scale people that are in the neighborhood of Spider-Man, that he's helping out, that he's interacting with. Which was the whole point of the Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man series, when Amazing Spider-Man was the globe-trotting Parker Industries high adventure international series.
I mean, let's be honest, Spectacular Spider-Man didn't stay that way, with him going in different dimensions and fighting alien invasions.
Well, mostly because Amazing Spider-Man didn't stay where it was.
Yeah.
Suddenly Amazing Spider-Man is the New York series where Peter Parker's sleeping on Mockingbird's couch and teaming up with J. Jonah Jameson to take down Norman Osborn. And now the Nick Spencer series is even more that, which is great, don't get me wrong, but it just means that these other books just become other books. They don't have a perspective or a point of view that's unique. So if Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man replaces Spectacular after Spider-Verse, fine. I like that creative team a whole lot. I like them on All New Wolverine. I'm excited to see what Tom Taylor does with Spider-Man.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I really want to read that book.
Yeah, but if it's just the third Spider-Man book, then it's going to sell like it's the third Spider-Man book.
Yeah.
And spoiler, Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, the second Spider-Man book, doesn't sell that great.
Yeah, also sold like it was the third Spider-Man book.
Yeah, and that's when it was written by Chip Zdarsky, and I think genuinely pretty good. Not great, the art was uneven, and some of the alternate dimension time travel storylines went on a little long, but it was pretty good, and a lot of people are going to jump off that book with the Spider-Verse crossover, because that's what happens with small family crossovers or line-wide crossovers at Marvel now. They don't add readers, they lose readers.
Yep.
People who are reading for Chip Zdarsky are going to go, I don't care about Spider-Geddon. I'm dropping it. And then Spider-Geddon's going to be over, and it's like, well, who's left? So again, if you want to end it, if you want to end Spectacular when Spider-Geddon's done and replace it with Friendly Neighborhood, great. Smart idea. You're replacing a series that kind of doesn't need to exist anymore with a brand new number one, with a brand new title, great jumping on point, great creative team, perfect. If it's just, again, let's have 3 Spider-Man ongoing series shipping multiple times a month, don't do that. You're giving it no chance to succeed.
Yep. Now, I'm assuming they didn't necessarily say this is an ongoing or a mini, they just put it out there? Or is it an ongoing?
It says ongoing, but...
Okay. I mean I'm just asking because often Marvel's
done 6-issue ongoing series, so it doesn't mean anything.
I did see a bunch of resurrected titles Marvel's doing in January that I just assume are all one-shots.
Yeah, it was reported weirdly. Some places had it as ongoing, some places had it as one-shots, but I think the intent is a mix of one-shots and ongoings.
I think Invaders is ongoing?
Yeah, I think that's a one-shot, actually.
Everything else I thought was a one-shot, except maybe Invaders, because Invaders didn't have a big enough creative team.
It had Chip Zdarsky and Carlos Magno.
Yeah. And they said it
covers
was
by Butch Guice.
Spinning out of the Defenders, which didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, Chip Zdarsky's doing one of those, I guess, and
Okay.
Namor's in it.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe that's an ongoing. Marvel Comics Presents is the other one that they're doing as an ongoing.
Is it going to be weekly as well, like it used to be?
Bi-weekly and no word on the frequency. So probably not, but who knows? Yeah, we'll get to more of that later. Speaking of Raina Telgemeier announces 2 new books for 2019.
2 new books!
One of which we already knew, I'm pretty sure.
You know what? All I can say is, Raina as a creator, and Dal, I think you know where I'm going with this, she's got a lot of guts.
It's true. That's her second book that's coming out in 2019. It'll be coming out in September, which is pretty much when a billion kids' books come out. It's another memoir of hers. It's set between 4th and 5th grade, so it's before Smile. And it's just another one of those in line with Smile and Sisters, where it's memoir-based. It's where all of her fans, I think, want her to stay at. As far as the stories she's been telling.
I like that as her fans are aging, her stories are getting younger.
Yeah. Well, there's always going to be a bunch of 9 and 10-year-olds that want to read about the stuff that Raina wants to write about. The other book she's got coming out is in April. It's called Share Your Smile, and it is subtitled Raina's Guide to Telling Your Own Story. So it's very much, how comics are put together and how she tells stories, and introducing kids who have gotten into her books to start making their own books, which I think is super smart. Both those are coming out in 2019.
So I think we'll order that Raina book, the how-to book, significantly lighter than we would do her regular graphic novels.
I don't know.
Stuff.
There was a thing I pulled out of the bookshelves recently and made a spotlight book. It was a drawing lesson.
Yeah.
And it keeps selling out. And that's a book that we didn't sell at all on the regular bookshelves. But I think people look at it and they realize that it's, a how-to book for kids told through, graphic narrative. And I think it has a ton of appeal.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't come out till April, so we have plenty of time.
Yeah.
Also, I was just commenting on it more to fill the gap while you were looking for the next article.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a lot of stuff in here where it's just boring-ass panels, like a lot of Good Omens immersive pop-up experience, or...
Now, they do have...
Swamp Thing Halloween Horror Special hits the Walmart shelf with its own display box.
They do have the whole cast of Good Omens at New York Comic Con.
I watched the trailer. I liked it.
Yeah, the trailer was great.
I never read the book or nothing, but I like a lot of those actors.
I read that book, and I don't remember a damn thing based off of that trailer. Sure. But I didn't realize Miranda Richardson is in it.
I like that it's only 6 parts.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And Kyle Fegley took a picture with the cast. And is Jordan Peele producing it or something?
I don't remember.
There's so many people in this picture that I had no idea were involved in this TV show.
Sure.
It was such a neat thing to see.
Boom announced the creative team for their new Buffy the Vampire Slayer comic series.
And more than that, the content, right? It's like high school Buffy.
I think so. Buffy's friends and foes will be on hand, as will new big bads, as Buffy tries to make friends at her new school, tries to get decent grades, and tackles her imposed destiny as the latest in a long line of vampire slayers. That is from ICV2's coverage of it. Redlands writer Jordy Belair is going to be writing it, and
Aforementioned cover artist and clause artist Dan Mora.
Yeah, Dan Mora, Boom's probably biggest artistic talent, who's done Power Ranger stuff and clause and other stuff. A ton of variant covers, of course. First issue comes out January 9th. I don't know about this. I like that creative team, but the idea of doing Buffy comics set in high school, I don't know what the audience for that is.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's necessarily an audience for like Buffy season 13, but I doubly don't know what the audience exists to basically be where Dark Horse started their comics at 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Especially when that show has spent so much time beyond the setting of high school. It was only the first 3 seasons. Like, even the TV show, by season 7, she was working at that high school.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, I'll be real interested to see what the audience is for that. We were selling maybe 4 copies of that book by the time the last miniseries ended.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Which is too bad. That last miniseries is real good.
Sure. Boom, since they're publishing this, I'm sure is going to give us a Boom guarantee, which means we can order a bunch of the first issue and not have to worry too much about getting stuck with it. So we will order a bunch. Real interested to see if there's an audience for high school Buffy the Vampire Slayer still. Aftershocks doing original graphic novels.
They already are, aren't they?
They did like one...
horror one.
I was going to say they did one like anthology thing. This is...
Oh, okay.
Like Garth Ennis is going to be writing a war graphic novel for them.
That's so unique.
Marguerite Bennett is doing a horror one for them. I think both of these are coming out. The Garth Ennis one is March 2019. The Marguerite Bennett one is summer 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll order a couple. I don't expect a lot from that.
As far as hardcover graphic novels go, I think that this week's My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies is the best chance we have at selling an original hardcover graphic novel by big-name creators.
Sure.
And I have high expectations for that book, and I think a lot of people are going to want it after it's out that didn't know it existed or didn't respond to emails or whatnot. But otherwise, like, you tell me there's a new Garth Ennis war graphic novel come out. I mean, Beyond Club, maybe 2 for the shelf. Maybe 2. Probably 1. That's not to say we won't reorder it right away to keep it in if we sell it quickly.
Yeah,
but...
with all this stuff, I mean, if it sells, I got nothing against carrying it. I don't understand necessarily what the audience is. Like, so much of the stuff that gets announced at these comic conventions now, I just look at it and I go, all right, I feel like we already have that and no one wanted it, but all right, that's cool. 2
quick graphic novel stories from today. I can't remember what the first one was. Somebody asked for this graphic novel. I'm like, no, I'm afraid we don't have it. It was Unsound Man or something?
Empty Man?
No, not Empty Man. It was a book we never carried.
Oh, okay.
And it might have been like Magnetic Press or something. And I'm like, yeah, we don't have it. It's available. We can have it for you. He's like, oh, just come back. I go, no, we're not carrying this book.
Yeah.
If you want it, we will have to order it for you. Oh, I'll have to let you know. Which means, like, if they want it, they might want it faster than that. I totally understand.
Sure.
But I had to make clear, like, this is not something that you'll just come in and find on the shelf.
Yeah, it's not going to be here next week. You have to ask for it.
And then somebody came in looking for H.P. Lovecraft and the Hounds, the manga book.
Sure.
It's the manga graphic novel pick of the month.
Oh, is it? Okay.
And he came in to get it and asked for the discount. I'm like, sorry, we had no idea this was the thing. No one told us.
I can't remember when the last time we got an email was. It might be in there, but I stopped ordering those because this is the first time in like 4 months someone has come in for it.
I did not give him the discount and he was fine with it.
Okay.
And I'm like, hey, I feel bad, but we had no idea this was the book. Normally we would have it on a section, whatever, but they stopped telling us or whatever.
No,
I know. No one cared.
Yeah.
It was just an anecdote of, hey, look at this. After like 4 months, somebody came looking for that one book.
Yeah, so basically if we get an email from them again, it's just going to be like, no, man, we're not doing this. Because we've gotten stuck with books.
Yeah.
There's books that we've ordered a few of, and no one came in for them. And it's like, I can't sell these. The only people who would have wanted them was your book club, and none of them bought them from us.
But what we did sell today, and it's not the Akira box set.
No. Oh, that's out of print.
Is it?
Somebody was asking about that. Could you get another one if it sells? Like, I'll check. No, we can't. I mean, I didn't want to lie to them. I wanted to give them an honest answer, and I looked, and it is out of print.
It was I forget the name of it, the Silent Voice.
Oh, okay.
That box set.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Neat.
And we sold the Death Note box set, so all we have left on top of the manga rack is the Akira box set.
Hopefully that'll go at some point.
Well, I'm going to buy it for you for Christmas if we don't sell it.
No, thanks.
Oh, no, it's a gift. You don't get to say yes or no.
No, thanks.
I expect it to be, thank you, I've always wanted this.
No, thanks. Brian Michael Bendis had a big announcement this weekend. Wonder Comics, the new teen-focused in-continuity imprint that he's curating, had a list of books that are coming out. The first one is the one that Bendis is writing himself with artist Patrick Gleason. It's Young Justice, and it's Bart Allen, Connor Kent, Tim Drake, alongside a new Teen Lantern and probably some other characters.
Isn't it Ginny Hex?
I don't know if that's in that book or in a different one.
Ginny Hex with Adam Strange's gun?
Something like that. It was stressed after the initial announcement that this is in the current DC continuity. So the Tim Drake that's in the book is the Tim Drake that's been in all the Rebirth stuff. Bart Allen will be showing up in a Flash annual.
Okay.
He actually showed up at the end of Flash War, I think, in like a one-page thing.
Oh, I don't remember that. I read that book. Is it Cassie Sandsmark?
She's on the cover, but I don't know if it's a different version or the same version that's been in the other Teen Titans books.
Okay.
They didn't mention her at all in anything I read.
Now, I gotta tell you, I'm excited for this book.
Okay.
I think that Bendis doing a Young Justice book with Pat Gleason, it could be a moneymaker for us.
Sure.
Which is a thing that we don't say often about comics, and I like the idea of it. However, I was immediately confused by it because other retailers made it sound like it was either a Walmart or Target only exclusive kind of thing. And I got confused by what they were all saying.
Confusingly, there is also a Young Justice comic that was announced this weekend that will be by the writer of the Young Justice cartoon, and it will be made available through the DC app.
Okay, maybe that might be what they were talking about, and
Probably.
that might be where Ginny Hex comes from.
No, that's a character that was announced as part of the Wonder Comics thing. I just don't know what comic she's landing in.
Huh.
Because besides Young Justice, there's also going to be a book called Naomi that Bendis is co-writing with David Walker and art by Jamal Campbell.
Mm-hmm. Zan and Jaina.
Yeah, the Wonder Twins by Mark Russell and Stephen Byrne. Sam Humphries and Joe Quinones are doing a new Dial H for Hero.
Now, I like the idea of the Wonder Comics imprint. I like the idea of Young Justice. I love the idea of Mark Russell doing a Wonder Twins book, but aside from Young Justice, I don't think the other three will last.
No, and with a lot of like teen superhero stuff, I'm always a little confused by who the target audience is supposed to be for these. Like, the Young Justice book that's coming out is very much for fans in their 30s and 40s. People who grew up on the original Young Justice comic. Well, but, I mean, I'm not saying people in their 50s or 20s or teens couldn't enjoy it.
I know.
But the target audience is people in their 30s and 40s who grew up on the Peter David, Todd Nauck Young Justice comic. Because that's the version that's coming back. Similarly, a lot of the writers who are working on the other books are older writers.
Yep.
I'm always a little surprised that these teen superhero characters don't have younger writers who are doing something that might connect more visibly with a potential teen audience. But I guess the thing is that it's not for teens. It's just teen superheroes.
Yeah, I think
adults.
that if it was for teens or younger readers, it would be in the Ink line.
Yeah, like they're doing Zoom and Ink, which is that stuff for those readers. It's just weird to me that there is this idea of like a sub-imprint at DC that's all teen superheroes for readers in their 30s and 40s. That feels like a very weird, specific thing that is typical to the superhero comics industry, but also kind of distressing.
Okay.
So, I mean, I see the sales potential for these things because there are a lot of people in their 30s and 40s who buy superhero comics. That is a reliable market. It's still just weird to me that it's like, hey, here's a whole bunch of like classic teen superhero concepts done by, like, Mark Russell isn't writing kids comics, you know what I mean?
Right.
Mark Russell's not writing stuff that's like, for like
this Exit
for
Stage
readers.
Left, the Snagglepuss Chronicles was not
Flintstones
kids.
was not for teen readers, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it was objectionable content, it just wasn't for that audience. It was for a completely different audience. And I gotta assume Wonder Twins is going to be in that vein. It's part why you hire him. So yeah, all that stuff is coming out in 2019. That's the first wave of stuff. Yeah, Young Justice seems like a reliable seller, especially with that creative team. The other stuff, I'm sure I'll enjoy reading some of them. All right, sure. I think that's more or less it, because I feel like that was...
This isn't a big deal, but the current run of Darth Vader ends at 25.
Oh, I didn't read that.
And there's going to be a new 5-issue miniseries after that called, The Shadow of Vader. So it's going to be Darth Vader as seen through a different character's eyes each issue.
I thought it was going to be 5 brand new Darth Vaders, so you have to figure out which one's the real one. Is it the
By
robot one,
shadow.
the space one, the kid one,
Yeah.
the average Joe one? And then, of course, it's none of them. He's got long hair now. I would read that series.
Jimmy had mentioned something about there being a whole slew of new Spider-Man titles in an email he sent to us, but all you mentioned was Friendly Neighborhood. Is that...
Oh, no, that was just for stuff coming out this week.
Oh, I see. Plus, there are a million Spider-Geddon crossover titles. Okay. I thought he'd said being announced in New York. I misread that.
Yeah, no, I think he was just referring to the amount of Spider-Man stuff that's been coming out lately. Pretty sure that's about it.
When WCW had the NWO, and it was initially Diesel, Razor Ramon, and Hulk Hogan, the big thing was who's joining next, who's the next person. It was never about what they do once they're there. It's just, who's it going to be next? Mm-hmm. Who is this next superstar that's going to turn on everyone and be in the NWO?
Yeah, who better than Canyon? Wasn't that the question everyone was asking? I remember that being a big part of WCW.
That was a question. Canyon, rest in peace.
Yeah.
But
it
was never followed up with a really great story.
No.
It was just a shock value.
Sure.
And I feel like it's just now in the comics industry, especially with Marvel, it's just, here's the announcement.
Sure.
And then wait to the next announcement.
Well, look at their sales figures.
Because the book is not going to matter. It just matters that they're announcing the book.
Issue 1s sell. Issue 5s don't.
Man,
the other thing, the final announcement was actually, I think, a little bit before New York Comic Con. Kelly Thompson is the new writer for the ongoing Captain Marvel series that'll be coming out in January.
Yeah, which I love Kelly Thompson right now.
That's true.
She is on fire and makes everything pure joy. And that Nancy Drew series is so smart, so cleverly written, and the dialogue between all the characters, giving the 6 main characters completely different voices.
1 billion characters in that book.
But making them really fun.
The Nancy Drew book has 19 cast members.
It's
sometimes on
so
the same page.
Good. And I've never been a standalone Captain Marvel fan.
No.
There's something about the character that, I don't dislike the character, although she's as old as I am.
I guess her and Hal Jordan occupy kind of the same place in my brain, and I kind of don't like either one of them as characters. I'm more interested in, Kamala Khan and Kyle Rayner than I am, Maverick from Top Gun, basically.
Sure.
That whole idea, it's not my favorite kind of hero, in a team setting, Han Solo's great. But reading a book about Han Solo, not that interested.
So my reaction at first was, I don't want to read a Captain Marvel book. Mm-hmm. But then I realized, well, if I was going to, Kelly Thompson is the one to make me want to read it.
I'll give it a shot. I've given Captain Marvel a shot a number of times.
Every time, yeah.
Every time there's been a new number 1, I'm like, I'll give it a shot. Kelly Sue DeConnick and Dexter Soy, and I checked out immediately because I hate Dexter Soy's art. It was so ugly to my eyes that I'm like, I can't. I like what's going on here. I like how they're moving the character into the Captain Marvel mantle. I think it's a very smart way to do it. Jesus Christ, do I not like looking at this. So then when there was a new number 1 and it was David Lopez, I'm like, oh shit, I love David Lopez. I'm going to give this another shot. Oh, I don't care about any of this. No, she's going into space now. Oh, God, I don't care about that at all.
I do like that.
And then Margaret Stoll came on, and I'm like, I'll give this a shot. Oh, Ramon Rosanas. I love him a lot. Everything about this is weird and wrong and taking all the wrong lessons from Civil War II. And then Life of Captain Marvel comes out, and I'm like, Carlos Pacheco, maybe this is going to be the thing that's going to make me like Margaret Stoll's take on it. Oh, God, this is one of the worst comics I've read in the last 10 years. So, it's getting worse, to be fair. So, Kelly Thompson can really only be up from the last few iterations. But, yeah, my history with Carol Danvers is not great.
I do remember, I want to say it was C2E2 year 3? I want to say it was year 3. One of the days of the show, Kelly Sue came over with a galley of Captain Marvel #1. Really excited, and she came out of her way to show it to me.
Oh, that's nice.
Because we had the signing with her, and she let me flip through it, and then she gave me like her thoughts on the art, and she had some really neat insights to, because it wasn't somebody that she knew, it was somebody that she was assigned to work with.
Sure.
And yeah, that would never happen anymore.
No.
But it was a fun memory.
Nice.
Didn't you just feel that there'd be more announcements? Like, I thought we'd get a whole new slate of image books. Not that I'm caring.
No, I think the problem for comics publishers at New York Comic Con is similar to the problems comics publishers have had for a long time at San Diego. It's such a big show now and gets so much attention from so many places that it's very difficult for comics publishers to break out with news. So the idea of launching something in the din of New York Comic Con is maybe not a smart move when you can hold that announcement and just release it through the comics press and maybe hope for someone outside the comics press to care a little bit about it and maybe do an interview in Hollywood Reporter or in Entertainment Weekly or whatever. This is about what I expect. It's so difficult now to compete with a billion Netflix panels and Amazon Prime panels and Hulu panels and Aquaman and Sony Pictures showed off the first 35 minutes of the Spider-Man animated movie.
I hate that stuff.
And that's not even counting
Why ruin it?
all of the action figure news and all the other stuff. Like, it's New York Comic Con, like San Diego, is now so much bigger than comics that don't bother trying to announce stuff unless it's the biggest of big news. And even then, maybe you're better off waiting. It's the same way that this is, no pun intended, apples and oranges, but Apple stopped doing announcements at CES because it was just one of a billion announcements. They can do their own announcements whenever they want now.
Yep.
Marvel Studios stopped setting their schedule around announcements at San Diego Comic-Con because anytime Marvel Studios makes an announcement, it's an event. Why bother trying to land something at a specific date when you can just do it whenever and you're going to get more eyeballs on it because you're not competing with whoever else announced it and have to worry about who won Comic-Con or whatever. It's kind of a sucker's game. So, yeah, the half dozen announcements, it's about right. And literally the last thing I would want to do, the last hypocritical thing I would ever want to do after decrying all of the overproduction in the comics market is say, why didn't they announce more stuff? Don't announce any more stuff, please. The stuff that you're announcing now is dying on the vine because no one can pick it up because there's not enough people buying comics to buy more Marvel stuff, more DC stuff, more Image stuff, more Dark Horse stuff. You know, if you're going to do a Buffy series at Boom, just do one Buffy series. Please don't do an immediate, like, Angel spinoff, Willow spinoff, Watchers spinoff, Clem spinoff. Like, don't do any of that stuff, please. I know it's hard not to, but for the love of God, one comic book, please.
Now, you say that, but Dal, you didn't mention not doing a Dawn comic.
Right.
So...
Ethan Rayne, is he going to get a miniseries? What about...
Ethan Rayne.
Jesus. I mean, it's all of this stuff. It feels like where every licensed property lands at a company. Like, you think you're just going to get a Conan comic out of Marvel?
No.
I mean...
You think you're just going to get a Conan comic?
Yeah,
they've already told you there's
one
multiple.
Conan comic. You're going to get a billion Conan comics.
They said there will be 3 within the first couple of months.
Like, they were smart when they launched Star Wars, where they were like, there should never be more than one Star Wars comic a week. So they would do Star Wars and Darth Vader, and I think they were doing Kanan for like a year. And then they would do a miniseries. So the 4th week of the month, there would be like a Star Wars comic, and they would rotate out, 5 issues, 6 issues, and then you're moving on to the next thing. Now it's just, a deluge of stuff. They're doing this stupid weekly, I think weekly or maybe, I don't know, some series of miniseries where it's set during different eras.
Yeah.
So they're doing like a Qui-Gon Jinn and a Darth Maul, and then other people during other eras, and it's on top of the now, I think, 7-issue solo movie adaptation miniseries, and the Darth Vader thing, and Star Wars, and Dr. Aphra. And all of this stuff is just...
Well, but Dal, they added Code Amaran, so now there's room on the schedule.
Every time they add a series, everything sells less. That's the arithmetic of expanding your line at comics. And it works on a micro scale, Star Wars, and it works on a macro scale, the whole goddamn comics industry. Like, none of this stuff is creating new customers. So, Jesus Christ, like, a humanoids thing. Who is the market for that? If you can look me in the eye and tell me that it is brand new customers who have never read comics before, I'm all for it. Absolutely, we'll order it. I want to serve that market. Whatever that market supposedly is that's never wanted to buy comics before, but these are the ones for them, I'm on board. But if it's just selling more comics to the same people who are already buying comics, let me tell you, they're all buying too many comics as it is. The market cannot keep expanding in this idiotic, myopic way. Like, it can't keep being more books for the same people. That is not sustainable. And it hasn't been sustainable for a while. And don't get me wrong, there's peaks and valleys. We're having a better 2018 than we were 2017. And some of that is just kind of the cyclical nature of people get real into Spider-Man all of a sudden, or people get real into DC Comics. And there are hit books that everyone's buying. But Jesus Christ, are there not a need for more stuff that 5 people buy? Don't need more of that. Need way less of that. Because that's the people who are buying the thing we're selling 5 copies of. That's to our whales. That's the people who buy a ton of stuff. That's not to the people who just buy that one comic book. Like, that's not creating a market for anything.
Also, I think this is the podcast that we use the phrase Jesus Christ more than ever.
Yeah, well, look, if you're going to have another shit week of, like, internal challengers machinery, like, things just not working, things that are costing us a ton of money, or things that are being more of a nuisance and more of a grind on our spirits, and then you follow that up with a New York Comic Con full of more of the same, I'm going to have a hard time.
Sure.
It's hard for me to paint that in a rosy light. That's just, it's exhausting. It's goddamn exhausting. It is exhausting living in this way. The tension of being a small business owner, of these things where, you know, $100 citation on top of we might have to get a new door, on top of the alarms still don't work, on top of the air conditioning hasn't really been fixed, on top of is soul deadening enough that to then layer on top of that the larger elements of the comics industry that fundamentally do not work and have a complete lack of future vision to them, where everything is just, let's just shovel more shit out in Q1 2019. Like, it's hard. It is hard to look at the future and be optimistic about it and think of a path through where it's like, well, in the short term, we're effed. And in the long term, we're effed? I guess is kind of the trajectory of things. Like, I don't like thinking that way, and I don't like saying that. I don't like having that be an attitude that Challengers puts out in a podcast. But, I mean, it's hard to turn anywhere and find the silver lining. Like, if you want to tell me one, like, I'd love to hear it. Like, I want to be optimistic. I want to be happy. I want to think of inconveniences as bumps in a road, not the status quo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't want to bum you out. Like, that's not what I want to do. Like, and certainly not the way I want to end an hour-long podcast, is me, like, dropping some sort of, like, depression bomb and, like, bumming everybody out. So, I mean, if you've got something, I don't want to put you on the spot, but, I mean...
Well, you are, and I don't.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want that.
Fine. All right, Dal, I'll take your mind off of it.
Okay.
How was Venom?
Also, I'm really hungry, so that might have something to do with it. I'll be perfectly honest. I had breakfast at, like, I don't know, what is it? What time is it now?
I don't know.
I had
Let's say
breakfast 7.5 hours ago-ish. And then I had a couple of the Bites mini-size Reese's sticks that I have in the fridge. And that's it. So this could all be hunger talking, where Dal's just losing his patience with things that probably are not that big a deal. Like, they legitimately might not be. I'll be my own devil's advocate on this one, since what was your thing? What were you going to say?
I did. You didn't hear it. So, thanks for listening.
No, I got something.
Oh, I just wanted to end this so you can eat.
No, I'll eat in a minute. I don't want to end it on, like, What was the thing you said?
Oh, never mind. It was a joke.
No, I legitimately want to find. Let me see if I can find a way out of this. Like, because I can't live that way. I can't live that way being like super depressed about running a comic shop and where the market's going. All of this stuff is fixable. It's all, I mean, except for the parts where people keep fixing it and they can't figure out what the hell's wrong with it. So I guess not counting that part of it. It's all fixable. It's all, the market, people are buying a lot of stuff. And we've had really good months. So it's hard to look at that and say that we're on the wrong trajectory. Like, I've said to you before, and I don't know if I said on the podcast, 2017 was the fluke, not what we're doing now.
Right.
2017 being shit was things not working out for some reason, not everything is great now for no reason. I think everything getting better is the market being healthy in the sense of perennials. Like, the monthly stuff that's coming out, there's way too much of it, and it's not growing the market. But the good stuff that's coming out, the cream at the top, sticks around. Do you not think?
Sure.
Okay, I mean, there's an expression on your face, and I can't really deduce it.
Oh, no, the expression on my face is me thinking, I can just edit it out where you stopped.
Oh, don't do that.
And just make it so, because you'd never listen back and never hear it.
No, but I don't want you to do that.
You're working so hard to...
I don't want to bum people out.
Well, I don't think you are. I think you're bumming yourself out. And
Okay.
I think that people aren't as... It's not their livelihood. It's some of their livelihoods. Let's face it. It is some of their
even
livelihoods.
For fans, like, if I'm a fan of a property or an industry, I don't want to hear the people who are facilitating that telling me that it's all going to hell. Do you know what I mean? Or that they're unhappy.
Well, you
That's
can do
tough.
that occasionally. You don't do it every week.
No, but I guess to sum up, to get it to a place where there's positivity, because I do generally, on other days, feel positive. The stuff that sticks around, like, there are new kind of all-time great books coming out so frequently now that it's easy to sort of miss how special that is in favor of, decrying the 80% of things that came out that didn't sell or no one cared about or that will be forgotten in a month. But that's always been the case. I mean, you can dig through back issue boxes across the country and find shit from 5, 10, 50 years ago where you're like, I can't believe this ever got published. So people have always been saying that. People have always been looking at US 1 or at...
Did you say Team America? I'm storming out of this room.
I was going to say any of the Bloodlines books.
Okay, that's fair.
And said, how did this come out? How is Gunfire a book that got published? So, I mean, that's a forever comic book thing. I mean, there's always been great stuff and there's always been shit. And
I was talking to Frank Davis earlier this week about how comic stores used to do I turn in my advanced comics order form with everything that I want, and I pay for everything up front.
Weird. Never did that.
And if it gets to be a pain in the butt for the stores and the people, because some books just never come out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I need to refund you from this book from a year ago that you paid for that didn't happen. And Frank had suggested, or like maybe stores just did it in store credit. Because it turns out there are still stores that do that today. But I said, as a retailer, I don't want the headache of taking your money up front.
Sure.
And I don't want to be on the hook for somebody else's mistake. But the idea of going through previews and filling out the whole catalog or the order form and turning it in, that was literally in the late 80s, where there was maybe a quarter of the product that there's out now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I guess in the future, and maybe this is just a one day I had a bad day thing, but in the future I think it's more helpful for me to kind of look at the stuff that's coming out and go, okay, and not care so much about the overproduction, because A, I don't have to order it, B, I already don't order a ton of it, and C, there's so much good stuff coming out that I think that's more valuable. Like, that's the stuff that's worth focusing on and being excited about and caring about, instead of the amount. Like, if Humanoids puts a ton of energy and promotion and resources into a line that has no chance and shouldn't exist, I mean, that's really their fault. You know what I mean? It's not going to make me order any less copies of Tilly Walden's next book or Raina Telgemeier's next book. Or
Did you read On a Sunbeam, by the way?
I haven't yet. It's
okay.
Gigantic, and I just haven't had time.
And that she did that after.
I love this part. Was so good though.
But I love this part was before Spinning.
Yeah.
And On a Sunbeam is after.
Yes. Yeah, On a
Okay.
Sunbeam was what she was working on. It was serialized online, so I don't know how it lined up with spinning.
Okay, I'm just because a lot of her, now that she's a name, her older work is coming back out, and I'm not sure of the chronology of her work.
Yeah, I think the first stuff would be like The End of Summer and I Love This Part is kind of the beginning stuff, and then Spinning and On a Sunbeam and whatever comes next after that.
Okay.
So yeah, man, like, I don't know, comics are good. I like comics, and there's so much good stuff that it's maybe not worth focusing on the bad stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what I like. I like our patrons, the people who support us on Patreon,
They're good people.
patreon.com/challengers.
They're excited about comic books and about Challengers, frankly, more than I am sometimes.
And about podcasts. So, thank you to the people that support us. For example, Jacob Sorelli, Robert Lane, Morgan Kaiju Perry from Boom Studios. I feel like Morgan always gets a bigger...
More words, more titles, more everything.
Yeah. I don't mean to make anyone feel lesser.
You've disenfranchised everybody else,
I have.
every other patron.
George Brower, Arthur White, Michael Romanenko, the entire Bingham/Springham family. See, I didn't name everybody. That way I'm trying to equalize it,
Okay.
to not give anybody too much extra time. Jose Villagomez, Tom Nagovin, and I'm not going to mention he's from the Century Guild. Mitchell Davies, who may or may not be from All Star Comics in Melbourne, who, by the way, they won
Another BPA?
best
Theme
display, which they should have won for Galactus.
Maybe they didn't submit
Because
Galactus.
Galactus was amazing, but they won for Black Sad, which was so great.
Pretty great.
You saw that picture, right?
did.
Yeah. Congratulations, guys. That was amazing.
Good work.
Really good work. Our good buddy and wrestling watching friend Mike Lee and Ryan Alcock. So thank you, everybody, for being our thank you level patrons. And thank you for listening.
And keep reading comics.
Now let's talk about dinner.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.